Good afternoon, John here for a Sunday. Today I'm going to talk about a vintage oil pastel, but I'm also going to compare it to the Pentel oil pastels. All will become clear as we go along and my reasons for doing that. So let's get on with the review. So the oil pastel I'm going to talk about today is the original oil pastel, actually made in 1925. This was way before Picasso and Sennelier got involved with oil pastels, and Sakura Cray Pas, or Sakura, were the first people to actually invent oil pastels. Now, they collaborated with an artist called Kane Yamamoto. I hope I've said that correct. And what they wanted to achieve was something beyond what was available at that time, so that artists and students could create with more expression. There wasn't something like this available then, so they invented this oil pastel. A little bit of history is that they actually made different oil pastels for different times of the year. They had a warm weather version and they had a cold weather version, and that's because their formulas at that time were too sensitive to temperature changes, and it didn't make the product very good to use. Now we'll have a look and see if that's good to use now. And it was in 1928 that they actually invented a single version that would tolerate, different extremes of temperature. It wasn't until 1957 that the oil pastels, the Sakura oil pastels, actually became available in America. And I'm assuming it was probably a little bit of time after that that they became available in Europe, because let's be honest, America normally gets things first. Now, they've been the first to invent a few things like a gel pen and pigment markers, so they're quite an innovative company. And more recently, in 1991, I say recently, it's not that recent now, is it? But Sakura was sold to Royal Talens, the Dutch company, and they now deal and handle the Sakura Cray Pas pastels brand. These are vintage pastels, but Sakura do actually make a newer version of these pastels. They actually have a junior Cray Pas and they have expressionists, which I've actually reviewed once before. But these ones, it's actually really difficult to get a history of the different boxes and the different makes as they go along. Now, these are not going to be the original ones, because obviously they were subject to that temperature differentiation. But these are definitely old. I would like to hazard a guess, I'm going to just take that Pentel away. I would like to hazard a guess that these are probably, I don't know, 80s, 90s maybe earlier. I don't know, if I'm being honest, and it is really hard to be able to gather whether they are. But what I do know is that they are very popular and they're quite rare. So if you do find them, and you will find them, there's no doubt about that, they're generally used and they're generally very expensive. And you do see different boxes. Now, I'm not actually sure what the difference in the boxes are. I'm going to hazard a guess that it's the different years that they were made, and potentially these are one of the most recent ones of this particular vintage pastel, so that's why it leads me to think 80s, 90s. And as you can see, I've got three different sizes here. I've got a box of 12 and a box of 16 and a box of 25, and they all have extra colours added into them as you go. Now, I'm not sure whether there are bigger versions of these, and if there are, they're very difficult to get hold of. Shall we have a look at the box then? I'm going to look at the bigger box, and these are, like I said, really very expensive. I would say you could be paying for these 25 sticks in here, and they do come in a jumbo version as well, but I'm going to say you could be paying upwards of £20 right up to £50 dependent on the condition. Now these are brand new, but the boxes are not fantastic. I mean, they're good, don't get me wrong, they're good, and of course they've been knocking about for a few years now, and that's what they look like inside. I'll show you that again in a minute. But on the box we have I've got something here called Scholarship Industries Limited, and from what I can tell, in England they were the people to be distributing these, and I can tell that these are very, very old now, because the telephone number, if I can show you that there, says 0477, and it's a very short telephone number. Oh, actually, that's a fax number. Having said that, the fax numbers, well, let's be honest, fax isn't used that much these days, is it? And the fax telephone numbers are like our telephone numbers in England, in the fact that they start with 01 nowadays, and the numbers are a lot longer. So this, you know, can lead me to believe that these are a minimum of 40 years old at least. So that's quite exciting, and you know, people like them, people want them. We'll see if that's worthwhile, shall we? Now on the box it says 25 sticks, gives you the colours. It says meets performance standards. Well, that doesn't actually tell you much. It's just in small writing there. They're saying CP non-toxic, whatever that means, and in very small writing, something about a materials, certified by the Materials Institute. Can't actually read that there. Oh, the Art and Crafts Materials Institute. So that's all you really get on the front. Tells you how many there is and what colours there are. On the side it says number 5140. Now these all have different numbers on them. I'm going to assume at this point that that means the different size boxes, but it could actually refer to the pastels, but it's more likely to refer to the size of the boxes. And that being said, it's because the pastels are all the same in each of these boxes, and it's 500, 520 and 540. So if there is a bigger box, it's going to be 560, isn't it? And it would be interesting to see if I could find some of them. On the other side of the box, it gives you quite a lot of information. It says Cray Pas is different to users because of complete coverage and ease of application. One could say they are incredibly smooth. Well, we'll test that in a minute. Again, it's got it in French writing as well. It's got a bit on here that tells you how to colour, blend, scratchboard, washes. Brush and wash effects may be obtained by going over the drawing with a brush moistened with rubber cement thinner. I've never heard that before. That's quite interesting. Or any other oil solvent. And again, it's got it in French. And that's quite a new thing, isn't it? But again, that could be 40 or 50 years old. So that's really all you get. Oh, you get manufactured by Sakura Cray Products, Osaka, Japan. So they're made in Japan, and that is really all you get. Let's have a look at the colours. I mean, you can see the colours on the front. Now, straight off, you can see that it's quite a nice colour range. It's not bad. These are getting on now, so, you know, the box isn't fantastic, and the pastels are not that fantastic, but they are in perfect condition, apart from they've knocked together. And it tells you all the colours, and that folds away like that, and it just keeps everything. Oh, I've just noticed on here it says the full range set of 25. So I'm going to assume, let's have a look on the box of the small ones. It doesn't say anything. So this is the full range. 25 is the absolute maximum you can get of these pastels. Now, the one thing I am noticing is that they are tiny. They really are tiny oil pastels. They are very thin. They're as thin as a pencil and about half the length. Now, on the pastel themselves, it says number 3, Sakura Cray Pas, yellow, non-toxic, Japan. And that's really all it says. I'm going to assume this is number 2. Yes, it is. So they're all numbered up to 25 by the look of it. That's 17. And that one's 19. So they're not in any particular order, which is a bit strange. You would have thought they would have done that, but they've put them in colour order by the look of it. The reason I want to compare these to the Pentels that I have here, the standard Pentels, is that basically there's half the colours, isn't there? I'm not going to go through the Pentels because we've done that before. But you will see that they are bordering on the same sort of size, which is fascinating. But these Sakura are a lot thinner. There's quite a vast difference in the diameter. I hope you can see that. That's the Pentel, that's the Sakura. So these are, in fact, the smallest oil pastels I've seen. That said, it could be a case that they could be good for details. Now, the other thing I want to compare to Pentels is the fact that they smell. They really do smell. There is a different smell. Whereas the Pentels have a kind of gasoline smell, these have a more of a waxier smell, and it is quite strong. I don't think it's going to hurt your breathing as much as what these would, but there is definitely a strong kind of, say, a beeswaxy type smell or a candle type smell, but it is very, very strong, and these actually overpower the Pentels, but they have, I'm going to say, a little bit of a nastier smell. So that's a couple of comparisons to the Pentel. So it gives you some idea of what they're like if ever you wanted to search any of these out. So let's put them to one side. So should we have a go at blending? I'll bring my piece of paper in that I used before, and we'll put that on top of there. Right, let's get a couple of colours. We usually use the purples, don't we? So we'll start with a purple. I'm laying it on lightly. They are hard, but they are not grossly hard. They are, let's have a feel of the Pentel and see how they compare. I'd say they are very similar to the Pentel. The Pentel's feels a bit smoother, and it's probably because these are a lot older. These feel a lot stickier, if you like, but they seem to be laying on there okay. Let's get a blue. Again, it's hard, but then what are we going to expect for something that's like 40 or 50 years old? They seem to be laying on there okay. See if that lays over there. Yeah, kind of. So, and then we'll get, what colour should we get now? We'll get a light colour. We'll get the orange. I know orange and blue together isn't going to be great, but it'll give you some idea. They are hard, and they do layer on. I'm thinking that these are not going to layer up very well though, or blend for that matter. So I'm going to start with the light colour, and they really do give out a bit of a bong. See, they're not blending out very well, but they are old, and there will be ways and means that you can make these better. And it is cold in my studio today, but they are blending. They are blending. You can see that we're getting some sort of blend going on there. And I would say in the warmer weather, these would probably be a lot better. So we'll go with the Pentel. The Pentel, yeah, the Pentel seem cheaper to me. They seem more transparent. These seem a lot better and more vibrant. But they're not blending out too well. So pilling, yeah, they are pilling. In particular, they pill on all the blues and the purple colours. That's another reason I use these. But again, I think they would operate better in a cooler, in a warmer weather. What am I going to say? I'm going to say that they're okay. They are typical of something that is this old. If you want the kudos of owning them, I'd say, well, why not? Why not? But you've got to work out, is it worth paying that amount of money? Not if you're going to use them, I don't think, if I'm being honest, because you can get the Expressionists and get twice the amount and twice the size for a lot cheaper. I wish I had some Cray Pas Juniors to compare these two, but unfortunately I don't. I'm imagining these are very much beginner oil pastels. Well, I hope you found that quite interesting. I was quite interested in it. I mean, I went in search of these. I've been in search of these for quite a long time, if I'm being honest. There is a jumbo version, and again, there's 25 colours. I would be quite pleased to see what the jumbos would be like, because usually, in my experience, the smaller pastels generally seem a bit harder and not so easy to blend anyway. I mean, I've found that with the Pentels, and I've found that with other brands. So it would be interesting to get some jumbo ones. But am I going to pay that amount of money again? I don't think so. I mean, I got these at a good price, so I was okay with buying them. I don't think I'd pay any more than what I have paid, if I'm being perfectly honest. And if I had to give them points out of 10, I'd probably give them a 2 or a 3, which isn't great, as you know. I probably would say that they're along the lines of the small Pentels. But they're old, and as you know, pastels have now started to put these dates on for some absurd reason. So, you know, these could be 40, could be 50 years old. So it's quite interesting for me anyway. You know, obviously being the founder of the Oil Pastel Society, I have to know these things. But they do smell. I mean, they're quite away from me, and I did have them in my living room inside the box, and there was this waxy smell. It's not the worst smell in the world, but it's kind of like a wax. If you do see some, I wouldn't deter you from buying them, but I think I would not recommend them. Not if you wanted to use them for work. I hope you like that. Please remember that I have memberships. I'm trying to get my Patreon going as well. So if you want a membership, just click the 3 buttons, and you can also do a super thanks if you find any video useful, that is. And until next time, please have yourselves a great day, a great week and a great year. And again, be kind. Look after yourselves. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.